And we are live. Are we? Are we really live? Let me check it. Okay, I'm live. My sound. How's my sound? Let me check it. My sound is okay. Okay. So, let's talk about hydrocarbonates, fossil fuel, and that thing that is controlling the world today oil, the crude oil that is today still making a big influence on the markets and controlling countries and giving other countries a lot of money. But the interesting part, which they completely want to run away, which is fusion, the cold process of creative potential energy, which is real. We just have to look at space. Space is very, very cold. I have a video about that when that GoPro rocket was sent to space to lower orbit of the Earth, not space. But that rocket had some instruments to measure temperature, altitude, and all that stuff. And that rocket had about, I cannot recall the altitude, but I clearly recall the temperature. It was 454 Fahrenheit. That's almost near to absolute zero temperature, which they cannot achieve in the Earth. But we know that hydrocarbonates, which create diesel, gasoline, are all a carbon capsule involved in hydrogen. And this is supposedly made of fossil fuels. I don't know if that bullshit stories continue to be spelled out, but nature doesn't work that way. Nature works with light, the so-called magnetism. That's how she produces everything. Just look at the sun. The sun is almost in absolute zero temperatures, and he can manage to bring us the so-called light and heat. So try to figure that out. It's kind of strange, but nobody talks about it. An interesting thing that certain experiments, you should watch this video, it's very interesting about Walter Russell's drawings and thinking of the world. It's very interesting. So in 1927, they controlled the polarity using solenoids and by heating a tube in an electric furnace and with to electric current until the tube cooled. The first spectrum analysis shows over 80% to be hydrogen and the rest particularly all helium. There was very little oxygen. So they can break up molecules as we can construct them. An interesting video by Ripley. Germany turns water into oil. I really believe the Third Reich was already doing that in his Second World War because It's well known in history that Germany was being boycotted by all the countries, so it didn't have any resources, and especially oil. Germany was not very good with oil, it didn't have any, but he had a lot of coal. No wonder Hitler wanted Prussia, where his coal mines were located, most of them. He wanted the connection with that again, because I strongly believe that he was already creating synthetic oil, replicating what nature does in the ground, which I believe it's made by cold temperature. The extraction, they use coal to extract carbon, but and the water, like they use it here to turn into oil, but they use also the electric current to generate a magnetic field to simulate the Earth and convert it to oil, to this compound, the capsule of carbon and hydrogen, which by adding more hydrogen elements and nitrogen, you can create other element, not elements, other products. So I strongly believe that they were already making fossil fuel, so we can almost for sure replicate everything on Earth, not by using heat as commonly known, but by using cold, like nature is doing. Remember that we are in the equilibrium point where everything is in equilibrium. We are the product of all this creation. So we are still keep being fooled by the oil prices and all that stuff. That should be in public domain now. That oil is not so difficult to uh, create. I remember in my youth they were saying, "Oh, it's a fossil fuel. You have to not use it anymore. You have to protect it. You have to find another thing. And it will run out in 2020 or whatsoever in 50 years." Now we still have oil. We still have wars because of oil. What the hell is oil popping up? Is the earth creating? No, not this question. How many dinosaurs did really die to create so much oil as they told us it was created, the oil? I remember learning that in school. It was because of fossil fuels and compression and heat and all that stuff that was creating the fossil fuels. But you cannot create fossil fuels with heat, because it is going to kill the hydrogen, which is very inflammable, and also oxygen. You only create it to create that steam. Can use water with this process to create separate the elements. You can heat up, but you are going to burn hydrogen, so no, that's not particularly good process. Well, but in this case, he gain 80% of hydrogen. Oh, it depends on the heating. It must be a slow heat process. Otherwise, the hydrogen and the oxygen will burn. They are very inflammable. But you can replicate nature. That's what science is completely pushing us away from. Replicating nature. And these guys, like Walter Russell, like Tesla, they knew they were connected to nature, and we are going far away on a dreamland made of stuff. Even matter is not what we really think it is, a solid thing. It's not that way. Matter is a construct of light, thinking. Light in thinking creates matter, and love also. No wonder this world is completely upside down. We are trying to achieve all the stuff in the hardest way, since we don't follow nature, and nature has its own teachings, which some people out there understood it and try to correct it. But unfortunately, science is so corrupted also, like politics, like everything in this world that involves money is very corrupt, because money itself is worthless. I remember the time that paper money had some gold in it to bring value to it. Now he has a piece of plastic. In my case, saying euro, very interesting. It's worthless, but they keep rolling the market with stupid things. We could already be having a good life, but a good life they don't want. They envy that shit. And the good part is that people are waking up. I think it was Rupley also that posted a video about something complaining. You have a lot of people working. Where was that video? Let's see. Was it that far away? Hmm, there it is. The complaint of anti Semitism in France. Interesting. Let's look at the comments. Interesting comments. It seems anti Semitism is everywhere now on YouTube. Let's listen to an ex French denier. He's living in England now. He's a reform denier.
Because I am expressing myself in public, here goes. The Nazi gas chambers really did exist. Why don't I state the opposite? For the same reason people don't smoke in railway stations. Because in France, legislation forbids smoking in public places. Likewise, there is a law which punishes prison or a fine anyone who claims that the Nazi gas chambers never existed. For a long time, being such a bad citizen, I scoffed at this law. I publicly questioned the official story. Using some very silly arguments, I must say. What an idea to quote statistics of the actual number of victims. Everyone knows 6 million Jews had disappeared at the end of the war. Full stop. What an idea to compare the highly complex American gas chambers used to execute World War II death row prisoners with the rudimentary Nazi gas chambers used to suffocate thousands at a time. The Nazi gas chambers were rudimentary simply because they were knocked together by a bunch of amateurs. Fact. What an idea to study original architect plans and state that these supposed homicidal gas chambers were in fact morgues. The Nazis converted these morgues into gas chambers. It's as simple as that. What an idea to rely on aerial photos from the period, only to discover the total calm surrounding both Birkenau crematoria, where hundreds of people were massacred on a daily basis. The Nazis killed in discreet fashion. That is all you need to know. And as for the technical report, which concluded that the spaces at Auschwitz, supposed to have been homicidal gas chambers, could not possibly have been used for this purpose, well, of course, that was all just pseudoscience. And that is why, in 2008, justice called me to order, harshly, 1 year in prison. For 9 months in Valenciennes prison, I had the chance to think about my transgression and better myself. But as soon as I was free, I started again. I denounced the official story as taught to our youth. And once again, the justice system sprang into action, twice as severely this time, 2 years in prison, more than the maximum sentence. Verdict confirmed on appeal, although the sentence was modified to fit within the limit as prescribed by the law. 1 year, the maximum. Hence, this is the reason why, expressing myself in public, today I can confirm that the Nazi gas chambers really did exist. I swear, I believe it. Sorry? What would I say in private? Well, in private, I would say, no. If you really want to know, rendezvous on my website or on my YouTube channel. See you soon for another equally sincere confession of a reformed denier. Good evening.
Oh, I run away with everybody. Interesting. He's a he's a former denier. He doesn't deny it anymore. Why did you run away? Afraid of something like the truth? Oh, this was a slight deviation from my topic. Since nobody wants to join my monologue, I was right. It's going to be a monologue. It's good to depend on my 184 subscribers. It's sarcasm. So, 18 minutes. Only 18 minutes. Damn. Hope you enjoyed. Let's see what I have here. Oh, and he also said a very interesting thing, because this kind of accusation is kind of foolish. Like he stated, it's not my words, it's this gentleman, Vincent Fenuyard, that stated, why using gas when they could use the most effective way? This is uncomfortable to talk about, but asphyxiation would be more precise than using gas on those chambers, those so-called chambers, as he stated, which is very, very logical. You can easily die on your own breath, your carbon dioxide. Hello, hello. Well, I mean monologue in face to face. This channel of mine lacks a little bit of that. Right about the gas chambers. Yeah, that topic cannot be discussed in a lot of countries, including mine. So I'm not going to discuss it. I'm only going to bring some comedy about it because freedom of speech should be free and evidence should be presented to clarify any case, not witnesses, especially people that Eric's Dubai brainwash. Well, he tells some things good, but some things are not correct. He has an agenda. He has to spice some truth in it and some lies bounded with it. But one thing is certain: the the Hitler regime, or whatever you want to call it, was very technological advanced, and that's what they are keep hiding from us. And one thing that you gonna see is as soon as uh, Israel state was founded in '48, I think. Soon after, they created a nuclear reactor. Huh? Interesting, eh? Where did they get that technology? The Germans, I can guarantee you. Like the Americans, like the Russians, they all had technology from the Germans. No wonder they wanted to put down that system, which was bringing welfare to the people. He had some extremist ideas, but like any other, nobody is perfect. But one thing is certain: he raised his country's economy, he killed unemployment. One thing that is not happening in any country in this world. Nobody can tackle that so called unemployment. It's good to create the, how do I call it, the manipulation of the markets, the speculation, the inflation, everything needs unemployment and the float the flotation of prices. But this thing of the oil should be over by now. But they don't want to know us the part of the cold technology, which can bring a lot of stuff. No wonder they are putting processors inside the liquid helium, and they call it quantum computers. Quantum computers. Yeah, right. They are simulating space, and they are putting those processors in there to make them faster, less resistance, more processing capability. You look it up, quantum computers, and see what's inside. Liquid helium being leveled by nuclear weapon. I'm still waiting to see a real demonstration of a nuclear weapon. All I see is big TNT explosions. Like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. If you look very close of those victims and look at the Dresden bombing in Germany, and look at the pictures of those peoples, you're gonna see some similarities. The only problem is that Germany was built on concrete, and the Japan was all made of wood. The houses, no wonder it was flat out. Never wonder why that structure, that famous structure, that kind of doorway stood still, because they used the white phosphorus bombs. They bombed the shit of Japan also, like they did on Germany. They killed almost 50,000 or 100,000 people in Germany with that bombing the Allies did. And they were the first ones to do the bombing. Germany waited 3 months to make an attack on the England. A lot of things don't add up. I think the only way you can create a real good fucking explosion is with cold. Because everything is in the state of compression. We live in a state of compression. Everything wants to be released. No wonder you give it heat and it burns out. It wants to become light. What is created is by light, and the heat releases it. No wonder when you burn it, almost everything you see light coming out of it. No wonder it's returning to its original state. Well, that's my point of view of that thing. Unfortunately, I don't have any evidence, so that's my theory, according to the so-called evidence that is seen out there. And they use that as fear propaganda. And everything that I see as fear propaganda, I have to take a closer look at it, because we are in a world not made to fear, but to love and create. And we are doing the opposite. We are destroying all our ground antennas, the trees that keep binding all this world together, make the balance, and we are destroying all of that. We could use hemp to make a lot of stuff, but no, the industries don't want to use hemp because I don't understand why the reason is, because they want to use wood. Hemp could make almost everything, even fuel. If you look it up, Henry Ford was one of the pioneers in America of that, using hemp, which is the male of the cannabis plant. So do we have any other question? Because the Russian regime of Stalin was very manipulated by the Zionists. The Zionists were behind, and they were very, 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 very mean. They did a lot of mean stuff. There's a video out there, a Russian video showing what they were doing in certain areas of Russia to the people out there. No matter what you were, if they didn't like you, you were shot. And there were Jews, the so-called Jews that are not really Jews, but they are the Zionists. at core. And those guys were manipulating everything. No wonder Stalin, at the end of his life, he's starting to realize that he wanted one thing, and the guys behind him wanted another thing, and he started to wipe them one by one. But at the end, he was wiped out first. So the Zionists are always behind everything. Even America now, it's very Zionistic. New York and Washington, very, very Zionistic. And the Israel state, Coolard logic. That guy, I saw some interesting things, but as usual, he's not a 100% concrete guy. It was on the time that I was researching flat Earth and having a lot of popularity because I was playing the agenda. So what's about Coolard logic? What's he been up to now? Well, the cold also arrived here, and unfortunately, my house reaches almost the same temperature as the outside. It's the bad thing of living on the top of the building. Hey, we're against geocentric models. Oh, that was. Wait a minute. Coolard logic. Didn't I make a video about him? I did a video about him, didn't I? Hello, mouse. Stop jiggling. Uh, oh, yeah. Now I see Coolard logic. I was. Here's my video about it. Just 4 minutes. It's a PDF of a Ukrainian physicist talking about heliocentrism and geocentrism, the real model, the neo-Tychonic model, and he's compared it mathematically identical to the heliocentric. Unfortunately, many of my videos out there are not seen because they are very short and very on point for brain thinking. Everybody should use their brain thinking. It's good to society. It stops the idiocracy. You should watch that movie. It's very, very interesting. School doesn't teach about that. That geocentrism and heliocentrism are identical. Only thing that changes is the center of mass. And according to the three satellites that were measuring the cosmic background radiation, microwave radiation, the Kobe, the Planck, I don't remember. That's a good question. And that's a question that we only gonna know as soon as we demolish these fake governments, basically the people that are behind them, and start to take control of those agencies and realize what's going up out there. Because Tesla clearly states that space has no properties. And a thing that doesn't have properties, doesn't have mass, doesn't have anything. So something is not correct with the explanation of NASA. That's one thing that we cannot really understand because everything out there is going to be creating an optical illusion and it's going to be tricky and they don't show us everything. And the sun maybe is not what we really think. Yeah, according to the principle, if they are identical, they could be identical in the supposed sizes. But the problem is that science is giving us more evidence of a geocentric model than a heliocentric model. Till now, where's the experiment showing us the rotation of the Earth? Almost fell for the Foucault pendulum until I started to research more and realized when we have the moon eclipses, that shit reverses its course. So, what's happening there? It's a reverse in something in the magnetic fields of the Earth. Something is reversing there. Something is rearranging. Everything that is happening is for a reason. And the fucking reason is not what they are telling us. Everything is balancing itself. Gravity. Gravity is the acceleration to the void point. Everything is positive on the ends and negative on the inside, like the magnets. This thing that we see as positive and negative current is not the correct way. But it is it's an acceleration. We want to find balance. Why do we, as soon as we go further up in the sky, I can guarantee you one experiment that should be done is using those aeroplanes with no compressed, no pressurized system inside, and take how do I call something that weighs you. You know, you take your weight down here on the earth, take your weight up there, and maybe go to an excavation below the earth and take your weight there. You're gonna see some differences. So gravity should be concise and how do I say it? Coherent, and is not because our so-called weight or mass. No, not the mass. The mass is the same, but the weight changes. So gravity is the term that you can use, but is not the explanation. Is a definition and theory hypothesis He's correct about that because gravity is not correct the correct explanation. And his explanation, that's our perception of it, pressure, because we perceive that we lose pressure, so our body is less pressure, is induced to less pressure. So how does our that affect our weight? Because compression is what creates matter. Matter is creation, is compression and light. No wonder everything has potential. Everything is full of energy. Any spot of our body, every cell has energy potential. No wonder there was that experiment that Tesla made, that he started to glow himself. He used that potential on his cells. That's the problem. We lack the understanding of how things work. They once again corrupted everything to create it more difficult to understand. No wonder it's hard to reverse engineer all this bullshit that they bring us about even the quantum theory. That's not quantum, that should be field theory because they are using fields, the fields of energy, the magnetism. When they start to float those disks of gold, they cool them down on nitrogen. Why don't they put them spinning around the magnet? I can guarantee you they could do that, but they don't do that because they are showing something that the universe is already doing. The Earth is a giant magnet, and everything is rotating. What did Tesla love? The rotating magnetic fields. That was that what Tesla loved because that he knew that's the potential. That's why we have a sun. The sun is a product of something. I wish I could go back to a real school with a lab, but unfortunately, should be difficult. I have a lot of stuff that I would love to do with magnets, coils, and liquid helium, and some other metals. I have a bunch of hematite rocks here. They call them rattlesnakes because of the sound they make when they join together. They resonate. This is nature magnetic fields. Too bad we need resources, and everything is connected to cold. That's where we can extract the real potential of things. Like in the Third Reich, they were doing that. No wonder they demonized that guy. And now they are trying to demonize Trump. Very interesting. It's not going to work. Trump is supporting some sides that many people are not liking. But I think what I lost my line. That's what happens when you don't write it down. You keep everything in your head. We have so many brain cells. We should use it for something. Don't you see in the news the demonization of Trump, calling him a Nazi, a racist? That's all fake propaganda. He's playing the agenda also, like all of them. They basically they support the same people over and over and over, especially on wars that don't even affect America in any way, or economical or whatever. No wonder they created the 9/11. They wanted a strong connection to the Middle East and force people to go there, the Americans and all around. Even here in Portugal, I remember being doing my military service and seeing guys going to where was wait a minute, I don't think it was, no, it wasn't, well, but America was there also in Bosnia. It was Bosnia, not not Iraq. So this is a profiting machine war, and people are keep getting triggered and don't want to bother to research a little bit and keep on believing what the TV tells, and TV most of the times is not telling the complete truth. Is only telling one side. There was a time on television that both sides were spoken. Now we just want to have some kind of a political monologue as they disguise themselves of different parties and so-called different ideologies, but the root it's the same, because as soon as they get to power they don't do shit they promised ever. It's the politician way. Since that black girl that was running for Congress, she stated something interesting. In order to get money for the campaign, she would had to sign a pledge to some supposed state in order to get some funds. Interesting how the politicians need to bow down to an international state. The lack of nationalism is very profound in countries. It's being dumbed down by thingies, by technology, by false ideologies. This is all very well planned. If you read certain books, you're gonna find out that they were kind of predicting what was happening. Europe, for example, is kind of losing its cultural diversity, which was a very good thing in Europe. We could travel to other countries and see other cultures, other ideologies, other ways of living, which is the whole purpose of traveling is to know other people, other costumes, different things. But now it seems Europe is dying a little bit with the Middle East and the Chinese. An interesting thing that, or is the China going to collapse soon? That have money from China are running away from there. I see a lot of people here that show money. They, people like to show off. It's their problem, their exposure. So I see a lot of Chinese out there with fancy cars. They buy entire buildings. So they are people with money. Or either China uh, down soon, or something else is happening. Or but that's very interesting. Chinese people, the people of China running away from their country. They buy houses here and all that stuff. We have that immigrant law is giving them a permit to live, a job contract to means then we have tons of Chinese shops in Afghanistan, and because it's interesting, we don't see Syria or that stuff. Also, and all those countries, mm, main ground of the nicotine epidemic in the America. People are getting hooked for a so-called legal drug, or that mm, I saw age time being pulled. That's a complete personality killer. And it's interesting all the more damaging drugs, because I there's a drug out there that I'm still waiting for a report or doing something bad. But the other ones that are called drugs, this method of establishing what is drug and what is not drug is very rudimentary analysis and reports and chemical and experiments only once again more witnesses in some deaths because cocaine and heroin indeed, and they are synthetic, they are not natural, they don't come naturally from the plant, or in cocaine case the leaf it's sized. So synthesize, you know it's bad even for your body. But sure has a lot of things that do us good, and the killing of the native Indians and all those ancient people was very bad because they the plants and all that stuff that's going to be lost in 10 or 20 years is going to be lost with this consumption of technology and everything on the grab of the hand. There's going to be a time that that movie Idiocracy is going to be actual almost, because this is the dumbing down of people, and people falling for it since they don't completely destroy the economies, which will be because the people then will be revolting. They are slowly in slave states where you have basically to live for your job and not live from your job, which was a statement that was in a so-called concentration camp, which I believe that it was a, but I'm not going further on that. And it's clearly stating on that enters labor will set you free. And that statement is very accurate if the government works in that way, gives value to the worker. And at the moment, it's all upside down to the non more to to than to the actual worker. Very bad, as I see. I like video games, for example. A strategy one once. Sometimes I like to watch League of Legends, and I go watch those Twitch. 20 years younger, start to do make my living on this because kids out there, you just have to be good on gaming, and kids out there are doing a lot of money, and that is very bad because this money is very to the mind because it's worthless paper. The people bringing actual facts out there, they are called being, and Holocaust denial is basically, but in reality, they are revisionists. They are revising history with evidence. They're looking up at evidence because they don't see the so-called presented as being truthful, and in that they are going to use that thing to once again flat Earth, destroying the geocentrism. You do research on geocentrism on YouTube, you're gonna find only flat Earth videos. You have to or pages forward to find it that is really connected to the real geocentrism. It's a good campaign since the money is flowing to their pockets. One with even a tiny brain can see that those guys are doing anything. They don't have any job. They don't have anything. I think we are degrading faster, even faster than the ancients, because the ancients were more advanced than They don't need things. We need supposedly we need a lot of things. Rado, sorry if you're still there. Hello, I'm the man. Yeah, I'm really the man. Wish I was the man. Could straighten up some country. For example, resources. These so-called politicians sold our electric company, our water company, our transportation company, guys, all the banks. We basically are underwater. This lever is with as lower down. This is contradictory. They appear, other places disappear. The Earth is very picky. It's everything to do with the balance, electromagnetic balance of the Earth. You know, they are saying that they are going to drill to the core, to the melted core, which I believe the most absurd thing, a melted core, is on hot temperatures. It's very difficult to have that. Even the engines, the electric engines, when they eat, they, even the engines are a good evidence shit of the melted iron core and nickel, and thing is not working very well. Negative part of the Earth, section of the plane. Say Atlantic is close to Portugal. They say that they found a pyramid near our coast. Never found any more articles on that. No, don't know if it's not, but apparently in Bosnia there is a pyramid. Maybe because the planet was smaller and the sun reached more. There's another thing of the tectonic plates that thing doesn't add up since the most recent supposed part of the earth is where the falls are. That's the most recent. The continents are old, so something is not add. This is all about optical tricks. But that's because we have a seeing of things. We have been programmed to have a wrong seeing, and many people even went to higher degrees in school, and they were major geniuses. And unfortunately, the mainstream science media only promotes Zionists like Einstein, and they promote that he was stupid at school just to make him look like a genius, like a real genius, which he was not. He was a regular guy, just loved to steal things from other guys and claim for his own. Even his wife, he steal things from her. So that guy was a complete nut job, like Tesla quoted. And even him, when asked who was the genius, he stated, "You must ask Tesla. He knew who was the genius." And that guy completely give the solid theoretical background to the heliocentric model. Besides those experiments out there that were showing an ether, and when that happened, he jumped to special relativity, where time and space bend. So how conveniently to time and space bend to make that dilation of the ether motion as assumed bending of space and time. Nice, nice. I mean, it's really nice. And I see many scientists are really stupid because they bought that. Or they never were presented with the other experiments, which I think they were not. Even I, when I went in electronics school, I never learned about Tesla, and Tesla was very important to electronics. So, school is not to learn; it's to be indoctrinated on their way of thinking. That way, I inve- envy the Greeks. At then they were. That was what I was trying to find, and I cannot find anything about that correlation. But this statement of space has no properties is very correlated with geocentrism, because in geocentrism, space is not that enormous volume that the heliocentrists try to propose. It's big, but not that infinity that they claim, because there are forces out there also working invisible. Everything of the working world is invisible, but these guys had to bring something visible to claim that this is what is ruling. And that's not it. Even light itself, they don't understand that shit. It's the wave duality. It's virtual photons and waves working together and create light. Yeah, então, so why does only light work on the Earth? Because we see all those videos of space, and space is black, dark. Shouldn't be light everywhere because of the sun. And light is a property of our zone, our equilibrium place where light can propagate, not travel, which is another nonsense of traveling of light. Light doesn't travel, it's inducted. Many bullshit out there, like the oil. You should already have exploded the electric cars that could energize themselves with magnetic coils, the so-called, which every motor has to generate electricity. I don't know the correct name in English, but it could be using that to generate its own energy on movement and be moved by electricity. But they seem to don't want to put that technology out there. And this bullshit of the gas emissions. A lot of mumbo jumbo in all departments. That's the problem. You cannot see a fucking department that is truthful. Even sports are manipulated. Interesting, isn't it? Every fucking thing is manipulated. It's the world of illusions, and people love it because everything is becoming more practical, more lazy, and the human being is lazy by nature. And they are working around it. I want to be lazy here. Is a chair that does everything for you. Well, the self-driving cars, it's a good technology. It could be finally the moment where accidents will not happen anymore unless of electronic error. So basically, it could be even worse because human failure is a fact. Nobody can deny that. You should watch this video. This video is very interesting. It talks about a lot of good stuff about Water Russell. Yes, and also the astronomical calculations or the of the angular movement of the bodies or planets or whatever you want to call it cannot be really faked. That distance is measured, and they create the orbits and trajectories. hell did I put that? Oh, whatever. And what are actually stars? And we have some things up there for sure. What those things are, Nazi is putting them too many, too pretty, which they even have the ability to go past the Van Allen radiation belts, which they are claiming now that they are studying it, but apparently in 68 they have had the ability to go through it. And there was a another scientist that said that they lost all that technology that they have had that time. Interesting. They cannot go beyond those belts. That is a question that needs clarification, but forget about. No, they are not. Well, it could be some sort of potential like the sun, you know. You never know what a single drop of water inside liquid helium can create, you know. Like that thing of the star in a jar, if they put liquid helium. Hmm. Space is full of potential, electric potential. That's why they cannot go further. It will fry every instrument and humans also. They measure the radiation levels of that, and it's pretty high. So for sure we are in a enclosed system. They created it was created for us by something. But unfortunately I don't have many time to spend looking at the skies or having a proper machine since my quality of life has dropped a little bit. I work hard to have a good quality of life, have a professional job, and somehow some people don't like to have professionals, or they like to have professionals, but they like to explore them a bit. So my plannings of traveling are delayed a little bit, or buying some stuff, especially the ferrocell. I really would like to buy one of those things. I need to make some experiments with incoherency, since we all know how coherent magnets work. I want to understand how incoherency works, because we are all incoherently attached as a human body, and we also have our torus field of energy, which some people have the ability to drain the energy of others. Some are light givers, others are light receivers, drainers, and that's very interesting of the human being because we have the ability to become whatever we want to be. We just need to focus, and especially embrace ourselves because we have a potential to be way better than what we are now. And that's the shame of, yes, the energy vampires. I have deal with some of those in my life. It's hard to, it's stupid to say this, but I had a couple of friends which I decided to become a little bit loner, and I become a loner. My life is starting to improve a little bit more because I was surrounded by drainers. It's hard to control because there are powerful drainers out there. I even haven't happened to me. I was with a friend, and I was walking in the street, and there was a guy coming toward us with a kind of a army jacket collar. And as soon as he passed by me, I felt some kind of cold, an energy bubble of cold around him that went past me, and I felt a chill on my spine. And I commented to my friend, "Whoa, this guy is full of negative energy." It was unbalanced. So energy is very important, and frequency also. As our frequency lowers, so as our thinking, acting, living, health, everything lowers. So it's very important to control that aspect of our lives. But there's a lot of thing out there that is not well explained. They don't want to explain us. Or either we figure it out because religion is not going to give us the answer, that's for sure. Religion is another distraction from the creator, and they use some factual and some fiction. Since the Bible has been revised a couple of times and it was meant to human interpretation, and we know what human interpretation does. It distorts things. Well, most of our thoughts are automatic if you allow it to. You also can control your thoughts. That's the hard part, controlling the thoughts. But as soon as you reach that, Yeah, every history is not well told. Why does the Bible not, doesn't talk about the 13 years of Christ? He suddenly appears at the age of 33 and starts spreading the word, which the word is not very well interpreted. We should be light givers as he was. The problem is that society is creating even more light drainers because people are getting confused on their lives. Children are getting introduced to new erroneous ideologies, and this is a complete genocide of the human race, and people are not seeing that. And this system is creating even more corrupt people because called equality the democracy gives, it's pure bullshit. It's holistic power. Yes, they were corrupt because he was teaching the way of living, being righteous, being honest, being truthful. New Age Buddhism. He he hates atomism also, and I think he's correct because that bullshit of the atom. If you watch that video that I mentioned you, that guy pretty well explains what is going on. Everything is magnetodielectric attached. Even these chemtrails, these smart dust that they are spreading out there have dielectric, magnetodielectric properties to attach to it one to another, like a cell. Well, they already have a lot of advanced technology that they don't bring out to the public, but they use. And the Germans were indeed very propellers to the technological advance in science, but to the capitalist way. Quantify. We need to quantify everything because quantifiable is chargeable. Once you cannot quantify something, you cannot charge, you cannot profit. No good. And this is not the ideology we need at the moment because the world is full of capitalists that are ruling this planet. And I think the creator or God or whatever you want to call him was not in created this in that intention. So, and once again, they bring the fear propaganda, which I don't believe it's the correct way because God will not act unless we are connected to Him. And since we are not connected to Him, He cannot act. Major problem. We are the connection to God. missing connection to God because not one single religion talks you about that connection. And that connection is knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and improving yourself. That's the only way you can get connected. And it's very difficult on this society where hypocrisy and lying and everything is happening at precise moments. So it's very difficult. Free propaganda to you if you have golf ball awareness. Yeah, since you become more aware, you know that fear is only created and manipulated. And it's a whole problem unless bring our collective conscience back, the grid to God, called evil is going to rule. That there is going will always going to be guys like me and other more important out there trying to change things. So, but it's good to see that the awareness is coming up, especially on the background, which is the most important thing. It's the background that is ruling this thing. That's where we should be focusing so we can really have freedom to reach our goal. It's this is like Twitch. When you add my name, it pops up a color thingy. Interesting. So say it. Oh, I had a spike. 7 hours. Wow. I can bet it was at the time of my hangout. See, I'm making a lot of money with my videos. I'm getting rich with my channel. Very rich. I forgot what you were going to say. Interesting. I commented about the subscribers. Um, you appeared. Now they are saying that I can only see the subscribers that share their respective subscriptions publicly. The subscribers with definite define the subscriptions as private will not appear here, even if their respective accounts have been subscribed to our channel. I should open an online translator channel. It should be interesting. My subscribers that show up in my list but never comment. Some of them are blocks. This is very interesting. 16,000 weeks is it was 400 something subscribers in 4 weeks. He went to 800 and now he's in 16,000. A flat earth video channel. They also are interesting people that are subscribed to my channel. Even these two are subscribed to my channel. You should fix your teeth, man. You look without teeth. Some of these guys are still sticking, even before I left Flat Earth, and I believe many of them are still supporting Flat Earth. So interesting. Many of the worst subscribers I've ever had in my life. There's negative people because there's unbalance. As soon as we have balance, we have negative people because people suffer. People have to work their asses off out of life, and that brings negative repercussions. So they feed the negative part. That shit of the duality is bullshit because we have a central part. Um what's he called? Damn, forgot the name. That this glandule that we have in the center of our brain. This duality is an illusion. Where is your nerve spine center? Where does your nerves all go? In the center of your body. That's the ruling machine of your body. Duality is a human construct. Nature doesn't work in dualities. Well, 2 hours. I think it's enough. I'm going way off my subject. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Hope you enjoyed the chat. I'm gonna stop it. Peace.